Hey everybody, thank you for coming. The second most fun day of the week is Tuesday. And again, thanks all for being here. Let me see, I forgot to check my sound. I assume it's working because I did do a pre-test. Yeah, it does. Good. Awesome. So let's go. This video today is about blockchain domination and how everything all of a sudden is becoming very real. We always say slowly, then suddenly. I'm going to point to a whole bunch of data points that support that thesis. And thank you to everybody for coming from all over the world. It makes me so happy to do this every day. So let's go. Well, first of all, happy Tuesday. I forgot what's happened so far. Well, crypto's pumping like mad. The global crypto market is back to 1.2 trillion, approximately $33 billion in volume. Bitcoin just broke $30,000 on the nose, literally 2 minutes ago. Bitcoin dominance is 49%. Ethereum's at 1855. ETH dominance 19% approximately. And what else is happening? Fear and greed 54. I'll show the chart in a minute. So let's go. And none of this is investment advice. Just a guy on the internet that loves numbers and data and lots of analysis like you will not find anywhere else, and that's guaranteed. So, and a reminder, by the way, if you want to amplify your intelligence, boost your smarts, whatever, subscribe to the channel to stay ahead of the AI revolution. Tune in for vids and financial freedom secrets and get savvy on every single force that shapes the markets. I only talk about stuff that shapes the markets. No BS, no frill, nothing. Let's go. First of all, good news today. Again, I start with what there's most of, and there's a lot of good news. First of all, Bitcoin halving clock. We are 252 days away. 252 days and 22 hours to be precise. Now, when I first did my analysis, I think it was in January, I expected the halving to be April 14th, 2024. Looks like it's gone out 3 days, so I stand corrected on that, but this can vary depending on exactly how much hash power is in the system and processing time, etc. So it's a moving target. It could be April 12th next week. I don't know, but we'll watch it very carefully. Fear and greed, as I mentioned, back up to 54. I knew, I did some TA on the fear and greed chart, and I had a feeling it wasn't going to go below 50, and it hasn't. It's been up the last 2 weeks. The last week was 53, up from 50, and here we are. So people are not afraid, which is good. Now let's talk about tight ranges and part of what's happening right now. Investing KO asked a question and said, where did this pump come from? Well, tight ranges, we spoke about a number of times, including last week on this exact show, that it's only a matter of time before it would pop, and I said it would pop to the upside. That's just the nature of the beast. And for this chart from Glassnode, you can see that less than 4.9% of all trading days had been in that tight range. In the history of Bitcoin, it's insane. And I had a feeling, considering the state of the market, and because we're in early bull run, it was going to pop to the upside, and that's exactly what happened. But let's talk about some other stuff that's happening too. We're definitely what they call post-bear market, as I prefer to call it, early bull. And in the past month to year, Bitcoin has been the most stable it's been since March 2020. And we all know what happened right after that. The big C19 crash. Anyway, low volatility is typically seen in the post-bear market, what they call a reaccumulation phase, when investors are accumulating Bitcoin after a period of high volatility. And this suggests that Bitcoin may be entering kind of that definitely the next bull market, but some interesting stuff. Now, the realized volatility measures how much the price of Bitcoin has fluctuated over a certain period of time. Lower realized volatility means that the price of Bitcoin has been stable. And typically, as a result, after that, it pops. And that's exactly what we saw. And I'm going to be killed by our marketing folks. I made this chart all by myself. This is my Bitcoin TA. But what's interesting, if you look at the last month, it's almost a perfect smile. The question is, can we break out above that 30K? We were back at 30K not too long ago, but that big, huge U has just been on a scorcher. I did tweet last night for fun. Things looked like they were bubbling up. I said, wow, we just broke a 3.5 day trend, getting out of this cycle. And that was the precursor to what's happening now. So somebody is buying. We're not sure. I have a theory, though. I think Saylor has been selling stock, hence MicroStrategy's gone down. I think he found a way to get that cash fast, and he might be deploying into Bitcoin right now because buying under 30K for him is a screaming deal. Now let's look about the last week. Now this chart is it's only a few hours old, but it's out of date already because everything has been pumping like crazy. So let's just check in on where Bitcoin is right now. If it stopped pumping at 30K, yeah, it did. $30,022. But you can see Binance was up for the week until a few hours ago. Bitcoin was flat. Again, it's now gone up $1,000, and the ETH down 1%. Again, that's gone up too. So this chart is now completely redundant, so we'll just skip it. What I do want to look forward to is options action. Where do the big smart players think the Bitcoin price is going to be by summer 2024? Basically 10 months from now. And that'll be a little bit after the halving. A lot of people are very excited. And I look at these charts every now and again just to get a feel for where the big money is placing their bets so I can copy them or whatever. Anyway, what's stunning about this is the open interest by strike price of Bitcoin on Deribit as of June 28th, 2024 expiration. And you can see the majority of the money is betting on a $60,000 Bitcoin. But what's really stunning about this is the put call ratio is 0.16, which is extremely bullish. I'll show you Ethereum in the bad news section, how this compares. But again, a lot of people, like I thought, it's very feasible for Bitcoin to get to 42K by April 2024. And then after that, bonkers time. So 60K seems very achievable to me within 2 months of that halving. Anyway, not hopium, just data. The data works a lot. Actually, the data has been great the last 10 months. Now, altcoin season still is over the last 30 days. What's happening? And we are still in this altcoin month. And what does that mean exactly? Well, it means altcoins are beating Bitcoin, despite Bitcoin doing really well. So here is the breakdown of the top 50 alts over the last month. You can see where Bitcoin lands, the black one kind of there towards the right, down 1.3% for the month. But you got other names, a ton of alts have not only outperformed Bitcoin, but far outperformed Bitcoin. And it's good to see things like Uniswap and Link and Solana and Maker, even Hedera popped up, XRP, Optimism, XLM, etc., and a few other names. Really, things are getting very active, and people are front running what typically happens. That people wait for Bitcoin to run and then take the profits of Bitcoin and dump it into alts. People are just going now straight into alts, and that's working out. Now, there is some stuff, and the part of the story today is about how worlds are colliding and how blockchain is real and cannot be denied. And there's a new player in town, PayPal. I did touch on this before. I think it was on Saturday. I mentioned it for the first time, but now everybody's talking about it. And PayPal has introduced a stablecoin named PYUSD, marking the first major US traditional financial company to do so that is highly regulated. And the stablecoin is pegged to the US dollar, will be issued by Paxos, and we know exactly what happened there as well. A lot of fun stories, but the key is, even big names like BlackRock saw the amount of money that could be made with stablecoins. Now, everybody's flowing into this whole stablecoin situation. Now, is it good news or bad news for the space? And this is a tweet from Sean Adams. And PayPal is doing stablecoin as a token on Ethereum. PayPal has 430 million active accounts. Sleep on this if you want. Ethereum is becoming the money layer of the internet. This is what's really important, and what Ryan is saying is very profound. Okay, this is taking things digital, running on a decentralized blockchain like Ethereum. Some people would argue if it's centralized or decentralized, but the point is it's big radical change for crypto, and it has a big, think of it as a massive stamp of approval. Yes, crypto is real. There's no denying it now, especially with a firm of that size with nearly 500 million accounts is staggering. But tomorrow, by the way, I've been asked a lot over the last week about this. I do face-offs. I've done a ton of them between cryptos that are kind of peers. Now, tomorrow, I'll be doing a first ever face-off between PayPal and Block, two equities, and we'll see who comes out on top. And basically, the end of the conclusion is, which one would I invest in? Which one do I believe has more upside over the next 6 to 12 months? And the calculus is going to be very difficult, especially because of the news I just mentioned, but it's going to be fascinating nonetheless. Remember, we do crypto and disruptive stocks, and of course crypto adjacent stocks too, like proxies, MicroStrategy, miners, and now these two puppies. So it'll be fun. Anyway, in a revelation from JP Morgan, the geniuses they are, they said, so I have to laugh. JP Morgan says PayPal stablecoin could boost Ethereum activity. Oh my goodness. Captain Obvious. Yeah, that's how it works. Anyway, let's switch gears and talk about Bitcoin spot ETF, because that will be a huge occurrence when it happens. It's going to happen, just a question of when. So this is from Bloomberg. You got August 13th as the second deadline for the ARK 21 shares ETF. That's not going to be approved. You got Cathie Wood all over TV saying she doesn't expect it anyway. And then September 1st, you got your first deadline for Bitwise Bitcoin ETP Trust. That's not going to be approved either. But September 2nd, first deadline for iShares, which is BlackRock, the big 800-pound gorilla in the financial space on this planet. Then you got Van Eck, WisdomTree, Invesco, Fidelity, Valkyrie. It's going to be fun to watch again. I don't expect it so soon, but boy, if it does happen. And you know, sometimes things get out. So nothing is completely airtight. Things get leaked. And that could be why Bitcoin is pumping right now. It's gone up another $150 since I started by now. We're at 30,160. So who knows? Maybe there's a leak somewhere. Either way, it's all fantastic. Now, Cathie Wood did talk about the Bitcoin ETF approval. She said SEC could approve multiple Bitcoin ETFs simultaneously. I don't think so. I think they'll do BlackRock first because the government and BlackRock are in bed together. ARK Invest did claim first inline status for Bitcoin ETF approval, but the US SEC has denied them all so far. And Wood's, you know, the most important thing about what she actually said was she does believe that once it is approved, it will bring $50 billion into Bitcoin. So what does that mean? Well, of course, I've got a model for that. This is the IA Multiplier. What does $50 billion do to Bitcoin, for those of you who want to know? And again, $50 billion won't happen all in the first day. It might take a year, but that'll take the price of Bitcoin by my model to $105,000. Basically add 75,000 to it based on all the stuff there. The other thing that's important, 50 billion coming in, the amount of money today to dry up all the Bitcoin on exchanges, the 2.3 million Bitcoin exchanges, or 2.2, whatever it is 69 billion. Okay. So literally 50 billion comes in all at once. It's gone. And the price will go way more than 105,000. And that is what is so fantastic. That's why I'm obsessed with Bitcoin, because it's so scarce. And that's exciting. So now, speaking of activity, by the way, because we had that revelation from JP Morgan, stablecoin could boost Ethereum activity. Let's look at what's going on with the stablecoins and where we are. So I'm getting out of breath. This is so exciting. Here, this is the big three and the rest, as I call it. I did include Arbitrum there for a while in the new big four, but they've seemed to have fallen off the pace a little bit. But the big three, Polygon, 382,000, Ethereum, 290, and Solana, 241.75 thousand. Now, from the low end, you got your Multiverse, who used to be called Elrond, 10,000 daily active users, Cosmos, 13,000, Flow, 23, Cardano, 31,000. Sui has now more daily active users than Cardano. Phantom, 40,000. That leapfrogged Cardano. Near, 51. Avalanche, 67. Aptos, 89. Optimism, 104. And there we are. So the key is what we're seeing here. And we expected this. You got the old stuff, the old guard, and the new stuff. And the new stuff is propelling itself way faster than the old stuff. I wouldn't want to be old stuff right now, trying to attract new users. And again, a big part of my thesis now, I value blockchains, is how many users they have. Speaking of blockchains and users, Uniswap gets deployed on Coinbase's layer 2 called Base. Their Uniswap version 3 has integrated into Coinbase's layer 2 network Base. Within a day of its launch, Uniswap Base saw more than 10,000 transactions. Now, the Base network is set to open to the public this Thursday, and developers and users have already transferred assets worth over $100 million to the network in a couple of days. It's insane. This is what I'm talking about. It's like you could be around for 7 years and you could have, say, 30,000 daily active users, and you can launch something, and within a day you have, 100,000 daily active users. This is why I always say crypto moves so fast. You've got to be on top of what's happening and where the puck is going to be. All right, so let's look at base, a little deep dive here. So some high level statistics. There are now 93,000 daily active users. That's more than 3 times the amount of daily active users on Cardano, and it's just started. It's incredible. 400,000 daily transactions, okay, as of today. 129 million total bridge value, and the chain hasn't even launched until tomorrow. Wow, this is stunning. Okay, so you got the combination of Base from Coinbase, TradFi, you could argue centralized exchange. Then you got the PayPal stuff happening, deploying on Ethereum. Things are really getting exciting, ladies and gentlemen. This could be the most incredible bull market ever. Okay, ask him, he'll tell you. Anyway, speaking of other news, Solana just hit a golden cross a couple of days ago, and it shot up 10%. In fact, it's up probably another big percentage today. And what's going on with this Solana thing? I think it's up another 7% today, shot up $1.50. But those golden crosses do matter, and you don't want to get into a short position, Kaz, if you're listening, after a golden cross, because 60 to 80% of the time, the price does go up after a golden cross, and that's when the 50-day moving average crosses through the 200-day moving average. So don't go short here, ladies and gentlemen. Not financial advice. But let's look at some stuff behind the scenes. As you know, I like to try find confluence within different data points. And Bitcoin was again the primary focus of fund outflows. You can see here Bitcoin assets lost 111.4 million over the last week and 90 million month to date. This is the largest weekly outflow since March. And, March is when the US SEC started, focusing on altcoins, etc. But for the first time in 14 weeks, the outflows into the short Bitcoin fund have stopped. In Ethereum, saw outflows totaling $6 million, bringing total outflows in both Bitcoin and Ethereum to $117 million last week. And altcoin sentiment seems to be improving. You see, so now I'm going to ask a little question. To this point, tell me the 3 things that are confluent right now about altcoins in a comment below. Let me know if you guys can figure it out. If you're even listening, but it's important. There's a lot of information coming at you fast, so I apologize for that. Anyway, the big news here is Solana saw the largest inflows totaling $9.5 million. That's the largest single week of inflows as far as I've been measuring this. And other notable mentions, XRP and Litecoin had 500,000. Litecoin, 500,000 as well. Cardano drained 300,000. Matic was flat. But the point is, it's not how much money is going in or out. It's how much money is going in or out in relative terms. So for the team at CoinShares, check this out. Maybe you could add a little ratio because I think it's very telling. If you take the month-to-date flow as a percentage of total assets under management, the story is very different. You can see Bitcoin, yes, they lost, $90 million for the month, but that's only a third of 1% of assets under management. Ethereum, pretty much flat. It's nothing. Binance, flat. Litecoin, up 0.3%. Short Bitcoin, up 0.19% for the month. XRP, up 0.5% for the month. Cardano, down 1% for the month. What's critical is that little green box, Solana, that 9.5 million that came in, and the total assets under management now are 89 million. That represents 10.67% of it. That is a big jump. So something is going on. The people that are investing in these kind of institutional asset management tools see something happening. Ethereum is going down. Solana is going up. Everything else is flat. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Speaking of what happened over the last 7 days, divided by Bitcoin, this is in Bitcoin terms, there was only really 3 green spots. One is a meme coin called SHIB, and then you got OKB, HBAR, and Solana. They're the three things that kind of beat Bitcoin. Now, in US dollar terms, you can see it was a little bit better. Bitcoin was up 2.5% for the week. Ethereum pretty much flat, only up 1/3%. Binance up about 2%. Solana up a big chunk, about 5-6%. And after today, it's a lot higher. SHIB as well, and a few others. So you can see here, it's a mixed bag, but some key assets are moving a lot faster against Bitcoin. Now, let's look at Bitcoin versus the NASDAQ index, what the correlation is up to. And it's exactly like it was last week. In fact, last week it was up 2%. Now it's only up 1%. And this actually takes into account the move today. The QQQ is up 21% over the last 90 days, while Bitcoin has been kind of flat over the last 90 days. But remember, the first 4 months of this year were crazy with all of the news that happened. And then we had this consolidation period where people are stacking like Sailor and others. And retail is getting frustrated and they're buying meme coins. That's what's happening. By the way, so much information here. If you want a copy of everything, written recaps of all the videos sent directly to your email, or at the gym if you want to listen to it as a podcast, it's about 13 cents an episode, $45 a year, which is basically less than most Substacks that cost per month. But we always want to get the information out there. And also, I go so fast, there's no way you can retain everything from every video. So it's good to read everything again, because there's valuable alpha nuggets here that'll make you money every single edition. So time for the bad news, everybody. And by the way, big thank you to the community writers behind the scenes making this happen. The bad news, let's talk about this. This is kind of the other end from CoinShares that I spoke about. Despite the big Solana flow, you see the big net outflow, but 93% of those net outflows were from Bitcoin investment products and the short Bitcoin. So it's 14th consecutive week of outflows totaling 3 million. So net, people are reshuffling where they're putting their money. This week, though, I expect when we go back and look this week, next week, it'll be up. So anyway, watch for that. Now we're going to talk about Ethereum options. I did cover the Bitcoin options, but these Ethereum options are in the bad category, and let me explain why. First, remember the put-call ratio for Bitcoin was 0.16? Well, the put-call ratio for Ethereum is 0.45. It's nearly parity, which is kind of very bizarre. Anyway, it's far less than the Bitcoin one. And if you look at where we see the price going, most people expect it to be around 2,800, 2,900 if you average out all these prices. That's not a big move out to June 2024, especially when you see the fact that Bitcoin is expected to be 60,000. So Bitcoin's going to double, and Ethereum could add maybe 50%. So either Ethereum options players are not bullish on Ethereum, or they just don't know where the Ethereum price is going. But they seem very high conviction on the Bitcoin price, which I thought was interesting. Now let's get back to stablecoins, because that's a big part of the story all over the whole cryptoverse. So there's a lot of concern about Tether, etc. It did briefly deviate from its $1 peg over the weekend and a little bit yesterday. And the drop below $1 was likely due to a number of factors, including the rise in interest rates and recent remarks by Binance CEO CZ, that's Changpeng Zhao. He expressed reservations about Tether, citing the risks associated with regulated stablecoins and potential regulatory clampdowns. He also described Tether's operations as a black box and touched upon Binance's difficulties with fiat integration due to ongoing legal matters. So it looks like he is crying and he's upset. Now, following these remarks and the recent USDT price action, Tether CTO commented on Twitter emphasizing unique dynamics around USDT and competitors. Now, if you look at this chart here, big thank you to Sanjay for sharing it from Kaiko. If you look at USDT versus USDC on Uniswap, that has taken the biggest hit, down nearly $300 million, which is substantial. Then you've got your USDT over USDC and Huobi, also down hard. USDT and TUSD and Binance down. But the point is, you've got Justin Sun and Huobi and Binance and CZ, and they're minting stable coins, and they're kicking them around, and they're funding stuff, and they're pumping meme coins. There's definitely a lot of black box stuff going on behind the scenes here. There's a lot of people like Adam Cochran that are pointing to exactly what's going on. I'm not going to make any allegations, but talk about, what is it, the cat calling the pot black or something? Kettle black pot. I don't know. But the point is here, I'm really bad at these things that I kind of learned from being in the US for a long time. The point is there are shady games going on everywhere. So be on the right side of it, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy stuff. Minting stable coins, pumping them, swapping them for assets that actually have money, then using those to shore up an exchange. It is absolutely a house of cards. No ifs, ands, or buts. And this is actually, I forgot about this one, from Paolo Ardano. Isn't it interesting that USDT is being pressured down slightly with 10 basis points just to push market makers to react? And USDC, the main competitor, you would expect to be gaining from the situation. And it's redeemed heavily, nevertheless, while suddenly a competitor born 2 days ago is getting it all. It feels definitely organic and not manipulative. That's sarcasm, I think. Some people never learn. And the selling of Tether, again, basically leads to USDC conversions. What should be happening is not happening. There are funny games happening behind the scenes that us as retail investors can't influence or control. But again, just be on the right side of it as well. Be in safe stuff and do not have a big stablecoin exposure. Let's look at the stock market the last 7 days. You can see here, green spots, some of the pharma companies. Berkshire up. They had an impressive earnings result, up 3% for the week. Amazon up 6% for the week. Tesla down 4%, and the rest of big tech down flat or down 3 to 4%. All across the board. Nvidia, TSM, Microsoft, Apple down 8.5%. Nasty, but you've heard me. Somebody said to me the other day, why are you hating on Apple? So the whole thing about, if you criticize somebody's bags, they get upset. I thought it only happened in crypto, but it's happening in equities now too. So anyway, I just don't like companies that have negative growth year over year. That's why I don't like Apple. They keep their stock afloat due to stock buybacks. So enough of that. Let's talk about a bit of macro for Team Europe, because I see them in the house. You can see here, and this is one thing I did not expect. So the colors, Spain, huge growth over the last, normalized since 1988, extremely strong. The Eurozone on average is up about 138%, which is equal to how much France is up. Italy up 111, they seem to be suffering a little bit, and Germany 134. So not only has Spain hammered Germany, but France has also beaten Germany too. And for Germany to fall behind the other big nations in Europe, with the exception of Italy, refutes the thesis that Germany is the biggest economic beneficiary of the introduction of the euro, for those of you who know that whole history. So interesting stuff happening on the landscape in Europe, and it's a mixed bag. And the big superpowers are probably impacted in an exaggerated way from some of the activities happening in Europe and energy prices and stuff, but that was interesting to watch. Now, time for the ugly news. Buckle in, everybody. There's a lot of ugly stuff today, a lot of crazy stuff. First of all, major token dumpage over the next 7 days. I always talk about Aptos is just going to rain tokens for the next 5 years like crazy. But when you compare it to Sandbox, that's like a money grab from hell. Sandbox are going to be unlocking $136 million in tokens in 5 days. Aptos, $30.5 million. IMX, $13.2 million. And just so you know, ApeCoin, 28.7. Like, this ApeCoin thing has just been dumping for a long time. Rose is back, 8 million. And Injective, 23.31 million. These huge unlocks, if you just add up these alone, that's going to happen next week. Can you imagine the number of retail investors that need to come in with their cash to be able to absorb all this potential selling pressure? It's massive. So don't be on the receiving end of this dumpage, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if I offended anybody who owns any of these toys. They're not good. Anyway, let's talk about some other fun news. US government spending is on World War II levels, and there's no war. There's no war. The current situation in the US is highly concerning. I've been talking about it a while, but this is a beautiful chart that represents it from Bank of America Securities. The country's annual expenditure now accounts for 44% of its GDP, matching the levels observed during World War II. And we all know what happened in World War II. Everything went into funding it. And wars are very expensive unless you're part of the military-industrial complex where you sell your toys for the war, then you do very well. Now, notably, in the year 2020, there was an unprecedented level of spending that hit 54% of GDP in a single year because of C19. And this aligns with Fitch's concept of fiscal deterioration. They downgraded the US from AAA to AA, and everybody was very upset about that. But when you look at this, there's not even a crisis, and the numbers are ridiculous. And the present trajectory of government spending is absolutely unsustainable, echoing concerns about the financial stability of the nation. Okay, that is just a big problem. It's all there in the chart, and it makes the global financial crisis look like a nothing burger. It's just, it's crazy. But it gets worse. Let's look at this. U.S. government has spent an alarming $6.7 trillion over the last 12 months. Like, just Google how much a trillion is, and it'll blow your mind. They blew nearly 7 of those kind of mini football fields of stacked $100 bills. It's just insane. This is up 14% since last year, just shy of the 7.6 trillion spent during 2020. And now we're just spending 900 billion less than a period where then we went through a very bad crisis where everything was shut down. So again, as I say, deficits are going to explode, and money printing is going to happen, and your fiat's going to go down. Therefore, get hard assets. Again, another chart. And in other really ugly news, we now have the largest US office vacancy ever in the history of the world. 20% of US office space is empty. Means people are not paying rent. The commercial landlords that own the property aren't making any bank. They're not able to pay their debts, which are rolling into much higher rates. And there's going to be a massive commercial real estate crisis. And that's coming. In other fun news, unfortunately for the team in the UK, I did cover a video called Bankruptcies a week or two ago. But bankruptcies in England and Wales are now at their great financial crisis peak. And rising rates in a slowing economy is increasing stress on many businesses in the UK and all over the world. It's not just the UK. Housing market is under tremendous pressure. Many mortgages are maturing in a short period of time. Inflation remains sticky, and it's just messy out there. And speaking of inflation, this is Don't Cry For Me Argentina segment, and we do have audience members here from Argentina, so thank you all for being here. But when I look at these 4 candidates, they have a presidential race happening down there, and they also have 116% inflation. And if I was to look at any of these candidates, can they solve the 116% inflation? Well, looking at their facial appearances, nothing else, it looks like none of them can. They need something different, and maybe they just need to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and that'll appreciate and that'll alleviate some of the problems that they have with deficits and inflation and everything else. Anyway, just a crazy idea inspired by Michael Saylor. So that's the story. Big thank to everybody on Patreon for being there every day, making a lot of this happen, sharing so much information, making us all smarter. And there's a few seats available, so come on in for Maximum KPM. There was a little kerfuffle. We were sold out, but now, due to some credit processing problem, there are a couple of seats open. But Bulwark gets on, and that's when it just sells out. So we don't want to get it too big, just enough for the people to be safe and comfortable. So big thank you, everybody. Quick check-in on Bitcoin. Fell below 30K again. Looks like that is a resistance level. And but everything else looks pretty good. It's been a wonderful Tuesday. But we're not out of the woods. Remember, August is slow. September can be nasty. So keep your seatbelts on, your tap dancing shoes. And thank you to the mods in the chat and everybody for being here. I'll see you all tomorrow. Face off, PayPal versus Square. It'll be an interesting one. And you'll also learn how to analyze stocks in the process. Bye.